Ashlin Basic.
Yes.
Used to be Heasley.
Yes.
And before that was...
That was it.
That was it? Wasn't there something before that?
No, I was only married.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Hopkins. We changed it when I got
When I
pregnant.
met you, you were Heasley?
I was Heasley. I actually never legally changed my last name.
Oh, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still Heasley.
I've always been Heasley.
I love it. A woman with multiple names keeps it spiced up.
Yeah.
On the podcast here in Texas, first time in Texas.
Yes.
What do you think?
Love it.
Love it.
Bought a house here.
Yeah.
Move in. Yeah.
Love all the freedom. America.
Yeah.
So the podcast is like real estate related, but then we always talk about like entrepreneurial stuff. We have like business owners, we've got insurance people, and then we've even gotten crazier to where we started doing stuff with like we've had a couple influencers on here that are like Austin famous.
Yeah.
So the ATX Drinker is one of them, and 512 Bites has been on here.
Okay, I'll have to look them up.
Yeah, they're cool. They basically dictate everywhere I go in Austin because they do it first and let me know whether or not it's worthwhile. But the point I'm trying to make is all of it kind of encapsulates an entrepreneurial type of aspect in regards to how do you build your business, how do you market yourself, and Ashlin here owns a salon.
Yes.
Just one, right?
Just one.
Just one.
For
What's
now.
the name of it?
The Lock Loft.
The Lock Loft in
Lakewood,
Lakewood, Ohio.
Yep.
One of my favorite cities in Ohio. I lived there for 10 years.
Mine too.
So what made you decide to start a business on your own as far as like hair is concerned? Well, what got you into hair to begin with?
Well, so I'm a third generation stylist. My grandpa was a barber. My mom was a cosmetologist. And then, I took up after them. I've always been like really interested in like the beauty industry, and it was a total passion, even as a kid, like everything kind of in the beauty industry.
Yeah.
It had a huge draw to me because you could do so many things with the license. If I ever got bored, I could do skincare or aesthetics. And but I really gravitated towards doing primarily blonde hair.
Okay.
And I just kind of found my niche doing that.
It always shocks me. We have real estate agents on here all the time, and I think to become a real estate agent, you need to do like, I want to say it's like 80 hours of education.
Yes.
And then pass a test.
Yeah.
But to become a beautician,
Yes.
you have to do how much?
1,800 hours.
1,800
Yes.
hours. You hear that, real estate agents? So here you can deal with somebody's largest financial purchase with only 80 hours, but you have to you have to do that 100 times over to become a real estate agent.
Yeah, it's wild.
Or a beautician, excuse me.
Yeah.
So, like, what was that like? Like, what do they make you do?
I mean, that part of it's torture. It depends where you go to school at. I was like younger when I went for the course, and so I went to a school that was a little less expensive.
Okay.
And it was just a lot of like perms, roller sets, old ladies.
Did you learn a lot, or did it feel like one of those things where it was like, I don't really use any of this?
At the time, I probably thought that I was learning something, and there were things that you do learn, the basics, and you get to practice on people and kind of like screw up until and they're paying such a nominal fee to come in there, so it's you really do have to just practice on them versus like being out in the world with somebody who's paying top dollar. You have to start somewhere, but I mean, it was long, and it's an all-day class, and you go 5-6 days a week, and it takes over your life for about a year and a half.
So after the classes and everything like that, you go and work for a salon.
Yes.
And how long were you at a salon before you decided, you know what, I'm going to do this myself?
I was at a salon in Ohio City. I absolutely loved it. It was a great place. I started there. I worked at the desk, and I basically, until there was a position open where I could assist. So I would work at the desk, and I would do basically anything that the manager wanted in the hopes that I would get to book clients, and I did. And I would sit up at the desk even on days when I didn't have to work, and I would answer the phone, and she would tell me if I sat there and answered the phone, I could book my clients.
Okay.
And I basically worked 12 hours a day there, 6 days a week. And then I would go bartend on the weekends.
Wow.
Just building up my clientele. I put in the real hustle. but I mean, I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it.
Wow.
And then after that, they closed down. They had to shut down, and
Was that like a COVID thing, or they just weren't?
no, this was years ago. But the owner just had to sell the business, and I wasn't ready at that time to purchase. I would have loved to, so I had to figure out what I was going to do, and I basically started up a solo, like a one-man show.
Okay.
Did that for about 10 months, and I realized I was incredibly lonely, and I wasn't learning anything from people around me, and I said, I got to figure out how to create a space where people work independently, but we can learn from each other, and where they feel like they're the boss of their own business while, being part of a bigger picture.
Gotcha.
And that's how
it's
started.
Interesting to hear you talk about being solo and not learning anything because, in real estate agents, I feel like, especially since COVID, I find we try to put together networking events to get agents together. I mean, we are in the podcast room right now, but today's Friday and we've got the barbecue.
Yeah.
I call it Friday network, or excuse me, Friday barbecue and mingle, right? And I've had real estate agents say to me like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. And truth is I don't really see any value in being around a bunch of real estate agents. Like, I'm a real estate agent and I should be out finding clients. And there's some truth to that. I mean, of course,
Most
if you don't have
definitely.
clients, but
if you don't have the time, yeah.
right. But I think that there's a ton of value in exactly what you just said, where my idea with getting agents together is twofold. Number one is, to your point, to have conversations about transactions to where people are, talking about their problem that they ran into or whatever. And if somebody hears that, then they're going to go, oh, okay, well, when that happens to me, then I know how to deal with it,
Yes.
which I think is valuable. And then the other part of it is like, anytime you have a real estate agent, for example, that's like trying to buy a house with you, there's going to be an agent on the other end of the transaction. And if those agents know each other, it's just such a better transaction, right?
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, it's about the clients. And so if the agents know each other and they've worked together, or even if they haven't worked together, if they just know each other and they respect each other, the clients are going to have such a better experience.
Absolutely.
And I just hate when agents are like, I don't need to meet other agents. And, sometimes agents act like attorneys. We're like, oh, no, I need to advocate for my client, which is true. That's what your job is. But at the same time, like, this doesn't have to be like a courtroom. Like,
Yes.
objection.
Yes. Well, and it's like we were even talking about in the kitchen. It's if you have like this rapport, or say you meet a client and it's something that you don't feel like you can meet their needs, and you're able to pass this business on to somebody else, and they're able to pass business on to you. Not everyone's a fit, and I deal with that in my business all the time. I'll meet people who don't feel like the right fit for me, but they're a great fit for somebody else. It makes the client happy. It makes the other stylist happy. And you better believe when there's time that they find somebody who would be a good client for me, that they send that business my way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
There's enough to go around for everyone. So I do think like that networking, and also it's being a real estate agent, you're dealing with your client, but you're probably spending a lot of time alone.
Yeah.
So to have like these kind of mix and mingles, maybe there's something that a real estate agent, one piece of advice that they're just talking about while you have one of these events, and somebody takes that one piece of advice.
Exactly. That's the idea.
That's how I look at everything, is if I learn one thing, it's worth your day.
Yeah. Well, and it's, again, it's all about the client. And if you learn something and you can handle a problem,
Most definitely.
it's just a better experience.
Yeah.
So you worked at the salon, they had to close, and then eventually you're doing the solo stuff. You realize that you need to be around other people to learn, and is that when you're like, I'm going to open my own salon, or what's the next, is that the next?
I think I woke up one day and I drove down the street, and my husband looked and he said, pick out anywhere on these 3 streets, and this is a great area.
Yep.
And I was driving, and there was a for rent sign, and it was a big building, it was a big space, it was huge leap of faith, very scary. Cost probably 18 times what I thought it would cost.
Do you regret it?
Absolutely not.
Awesome.
Not at all. It's my baby. I get to go in and I get to decorate it. I get to be around 12 women who are amazing, who I do learn from every day, who have we've had very little turnover. So I've been with some of these girls the entire 6 years, and
Are there any men?
no men.
No men.
Not that I'm opposed to hiring
Gotcha.
men whatsoever, but
Figured in Lakewood.
none have applied.
Interesting. So, if I were to open a salon,
Yeah.
what's the like piece of advice that you would give that you wish someone gave you when you opened your salon?
I think for me, the hardest thing was learning how to share a space that where I've purchased everything, where it's my idea, it's my baby, it's literally my life savings, my everything, my goals, my name on the door. It was really hard for me to let go of some of, people are using your things, people are in your stuff. And also, I realized it was very hard for me to reprimand or, I was
Manage.
absolutely like that. It took up until about 3 or 4 years into it where I really found a rhythm of how to speak to people. Because as a stylist, I had this dream of opening this salon. It was going to be, that's the image that I think everybody has in their head. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this isn't just, a pretty building or
It's a business.
it's a business.
Yeah.
And luckily somehow I just naturally figured it out and so
So the management and
I
then
would say yes,
the,
take a management class. Go spend
interesting.
some time with an owner of a salon and really pick their brain and financially all that stuff, goes without saying.
So you kind of, it sounds like you learned as you went,
Most definitely.
but was there anything that you kind of felt like, I guess looking back, like obviously we kind of know how the story turned out. You don't regret it.
No.
But looking back, do you feel like you could have been more prepared? Well, I guess you could always be more prepared.
Absolutely.
But maybe what I'm trying to ask is like, did you feel looking back that you were under prepared, or did you have the like
Most definitely.
the base with okay, you were underprepared?
Underprepared.
Okay. I mean, the
but-
reason I ask is because I can't tell you how many people I run into when it comes to running a business. Their biggest thing is like they feel like they have to have perfection and everything before they open or whatever, and then eventually they just never end up doing it.
I will tell you, you absolutely just have to do it.
Right.
I had the space and I looked at the numbers and I said, if I had to, which I hope I don't, but I can pay the rent on this building myself and, I'll figure out paying off all the things that I bought in the meantime.
Right.
And it didn't work out like that. I felt like because I put out this energy, that I attracted all these people who were, like I said, very little turnover.
Yeah,
I
you had some
attracted all
cheerleaders. They were pumped.
I attracted all these like really amazing women, and so I'm definitely like very like thankful and grateful on that. And it just, you have to do it. You'll never get anything done if you don't take a leap.
Do you feel like the people that you have that you've obviously spoken very highly about, did you seek them out or did they seek you out?
I believe at first, like some of the first people that I hired, I must have, put the word out that we were hiring. And at this point, the last, I want to say 5 or 6 people who I've hired all came in to apprentice with me. So I have a new apprentice every year to 18 months who works side by side with me. And
Where do you find these apprentices?
They've come to me usually. Usually, it's time for like one to get moving on. Somebody knows somebody straight out of COS school, so they'll send them to me, and I'll interview. And I have to make sure that they're going to be a good fit with me because they're spending literally an entire day standing right next to me.
How do you decide on that?
I make them come in and spend a day with me.
Right, but I mean, what are you looking for?
What am I looking for? Somebody who I can get along with.
Okay.
I don't care if they can't do hair. I don't care where they went to school. They have to be good with clients, and they have to be tolerable to me. Everything else,
Everything else can be taught.
everything else can be taught. But
Gotcha.
you have to be my best friend. You have to love me when I'm telling you to go do the laundry and get lunch. You have to have a really good relationship, and I do look for somebody who is always willing to learn.
Okay.
That is the most important thing. Like I said, if you take one thing every day, then it's worth your day.
What are the numbers in respect to, like, how many people do you interview as apprentices before you choose? If you had, I mean, you've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
So is it like a 1 in 10? Is it like a 1 in
Yeah.
5? Is
Yeah.
it
Like the last time I interviewed, I think I interviewed 6 people. And it was, I listen in interviews. If anybody says one thing bad about a place that they work at or worked at, that's an immediate no for me.
Ooh, I like that.
As soon as I hear it, I usually try and cut it short.
Why is that?
I,
What are your thoughts on it?
I think that it's unprofessional.
Okay.
And it shows like a lack of loyalty for where you are at. And maybe it was really like terrible there, but in the first interview, if somebody says something like that, it gives me an uncomfortable feeling.
Gotcha.
And I'm not wrong on that. Anybody who I've ever hired who is, I faltered on that, like, it's a bad hire.
Do you think, I mean, I want you to unpack that. So what is it about that you've identified that if someone's willing to do that, what type of behavior follows that?
There is like that it's 12 women working in a salon.
Okay.
We work probably as far as you and me are sitting.
Right.
So we do have to get along. And I always tell people, you don't have to be best friends, but everybody needs to get along. We're all sharing common space.
So you feel like it's a sign of confrontation?
It is to me. And it's a sign that let's be honest, nobody goes into work every single day and has a great day every day. You're going to have a rough day. You're going to have a boss who's sucks.
Yeah.
You're going to have that, but if you...
That's why it's called work.
Yes, but professionally, like, you need to be able to put that to the side. And if you're already vocalizing that in your first interview, it's a solid no for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you I've been to your salon and you've got you seem to have a way of hiring like really good-looking people. Is that just the way it happens, or is that part of the design?
I think it's part of the design, it's the beauty industry. So you're going to have people who really love makeup. They love their hair.
Right.
They love to take care of themselves. It's easily available to us. For a long time, I traded Botox with somebody, so you're in this
Gotcha.
industry where you can get I get my nails done for hair. I have a girl, I get spray tans for hair. So you're kind of always like swapping with these people who do all these things. And
Right.
because you're looking in a mirror all day,
I
you want
dated
to make
a
sure you look good.
hairstylist I dated a hairstylist for many years. And I remember that life.
Yes.
I remember that life.
You're like, I got 4 bottles of wine for a hair.
Right.
Literally, I got this dog for 2 highlights. Like, you get the wildest things for hair.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to ask, only because I know I just mentioned, I was a part of it, for lack of a better term, just watching it as, a significant other. I think one of the things that people don't know that I want to put on the podcast is like, how much does being a hairstylist take a toll on your body?
I used to work a lot. Like I said, when I first started, I have done things now that, just exercising frequently, stretching, taking care of my body and not working 12-hour shifts anymore. And I feel, I would knock on this table, but you'll yell at me. I feel pretty good physically, but yeah, you do have to like be really careful. And that's something that I teach, like when I'm watching like apprentices and stuff. If they're holding their wrist like this, or they're standing like, with their shoulders back too far, like you really have to maintain. You have to pay attention to where you're positioning yourself and taking
What's the
care of
number
that.
one injury a hairstylist usually has?
I would imagine like my neck.
Your neck.
My neck will hurt a lot of times.
Shoulders.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of like.
Yeah. A little bit of that. My wrists hurt. It's a lot of like, motion over time. Your legs and ankles, knees, you stand for hours and hours at a time. So without, we're notorious for not taking breaks.
Right. So the business starts. We got the apprentices. We hire all the people,
Yep.
12 girls. Everything's rocking and rolling. and then COVID.
COVID.
So how did you fight through that?
The worst week of my well, you sold me my
Yep.
house.
I did.
I think you were over at my house. You guys all came over and we were celebrating that I had just bought my dream home. Put all
Thank you for allowing me to help you with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting all my eggs into that house basket.
Yeah.
And
It's a beautiful house.
Beautiful house. And what was it? 7 days later we shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You're one of the people that I tell the story, like not a lot of times, but on a fairly regular basis, we'll be ready to close and the closing, it might be like, a week away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, we're ready to go. Like, can we close early? And people are like, oh, well, let's just leave it at the current date because, this, that, and the other. And it's like, you guys understand, like, anything can
You could
happen.
lose your job.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
And, you even if you lost your job right after buying a home, you're going to be happy that you have a home because
Yes.
even if you lose your job, like, it's way easier to kick you out of your apartment than it is to kick you out of your house. And, that's a whole other
Right.
story. But I use you as an example because, we close on that house and then...
Yeah, probably maybe even less than a week.
If we wouldn't have closed that week and we closed a week later, we probably would have had to deny your loan.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been, and with all that time and energy and money spent, and then you going into the next, and I wouldn't have been able to buy a house again because I would have had 8 solid weeks or 10 weeks where I was
Right.
out of work in that year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So COVID hits. How do you navigate that?
That was really, really, really incredibly tough. That was just a really scary time just because I don't have any other skills. Unfortunately, I
don't play an instrument?
I don't play an instrument. That was like I learned very quickly, like, I have little purpose other than being a stylist. So,
Right.
I was like, what could I do? Like, I was thinking of all these jobs because I had no idea. I was looking at like this picture, hopefully, at some point we were going to open back
I have to
up,
stop
but
you. You can run a business,
I can run a business.
right?
But I had no idea, like, during that time, like, where do I find a job in this, are we going to open back up?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. I called you, and I remember I was like, can I give this house back? And I was like, I don't even know how to pay for it now. Like, this is, I just put all my money into a down payment.
What'd I tell you to do?
You told me just
Chill
to chill out. And I was like, all right, easier said than done, Matt. But you were right. You were right. You've actually, on a lot of things, you've very solid, and you walked me through that. You're like, even if you have to do like a forbearance or anything like that, it's going to take a very long time. Even if this goes on for a year or two, like, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And so I kept going with what I was doing. I made sure, I was luckily had, some things saved still. Continued, making payments and it all worked out. But
Look at that.
yeah, and when we opened the salon back up, people were always like, was it really slow afterwards? We were working 12 to 14-hour
Oh, I
shifts
bet.
to fit people back in, and it actually created this mass hysteria between clients because nobody could get their hair done.
Right.
So this was the best
Women
thing.
had their roots growing out, grays.
This was the best thing that ever happened for us. Everybody, we were able to, stylists in general as a whole, were able to raise their prices
It's great.
significantly. People took us more serious. And now it's like, a full-time stylist anywhere in the United States. I don't care if you're in the smallest city in the United States or the biggest. If you are a full-time stylist, you're making no less than 6 figures.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that is the bare minimum, smallest city. If you're working independently, if you're a
Right.
commission-based stylist, possibly not. But as an independent stylist, yes, and it's big business.
So if I'm a licensed stylist, but I'm not ready to open my own business, for example, like, what am I looking for, as a place to work, or better yet, like, what are you offering?
Right.
Like what's that look like at the Lock Loft?
I saw a post on Instagram, and it was asking what do stylists look for when they're looking for a place to work. The number one thing that everybody said was independence.
Interesting.
So now you have to think, stylists are creative thinkers. You know,
Right.
we're always like, most of us are left-handed. It's like a creative brain type thing. We all think, you know, very independently, but also, like I said, we thrive in a atmosphere where you're talking all day and you're
Sure.
with people. So it's finding this like delicate balance, like where I can offer this independence where people, you know, we're only in there to work because you leave when your shift is done. You're not sitting around gossiping. You're not, you know, having all this free time like you would in a commission-based salon where you have to stay the whole day. So, I mean, it's kind of created this atmosphere where people walk in, and when I hire people, and they always say that they're like, I just feel like comfortable here.
That's great.
Yeah, like I'm maybe a little too chill. But you know, I trust that like most of these women, I mean, they're adults, you know,
Right.
clean up after yourself, you know, take care of your clients and we'll be good.
For the audience, what is the difference between an independent stylist versus a commission-based stylist?
Commission-based stylist gets a percentage of what their sales are. So say you made $10,000 in a week and your commission is $5,000, you know, 50%.
Okay.
And it's actually a lot less than that. Typically, they take a lot of times commission-based salons. They take out a lot of fees. That's why a lot of people don't do commission anymore.
Okay.
There are some salons that offer a really great commission-based program where you're getting education, healthcare benefits, and they're giving a larger percentage, or they're paying into maternity. And for somebody who works part-time, that might not be a bad idea.
Okay.
For me, being independent means that you keep 100% of your earnings. You buy all your own products.
Okay.
You have those as your deductions at the end of the year through your taxes. But it's a no-brainer for me. I make an extra 20 to 25% more than I did when I was a commission-based stylist.
So when you're talking about buying your own products as like an independent, so if I go into your salon as an employee, like, and I've got a woman that's going to get I don't know, forgive me, I don't even have hair. I'm trying to speak the terminology here. So if I have a woman that's going to get a, cut color
yes.
and, blowout, whatever, am I booking that appointment and like buying all of my stuff like the day before
per client,
or is there
typically,
like stuff in the? Is it like
nope,
is there like storeroom stuff?
Yeah. So they have like their own station, so they can keep any of their products there.
Okay.
Yeah, but we all buy our own products, which is great too because you can sell your own products at my salon. Most of us do like an online store. Amazing.
Gotcha.
Their stuff gets shipped to. I use a company that ships in one day.
What's the hot product right now?
K18.
K18.
Yes.
And what about it do you love?
It's like a bond repair. So women, especially in the blonde community, you're dealing with a lot of broken hair.
Yeah, make sure that you're like really dumbing this down because I'm like, So what
when
repair? What does that mean?
When you're coloring someone's hair, you're breaking disulfite bonds in the hair.
Oh.
And yes, it gets dry, it can get brittle.
Okay.
So this will repair those bonds. It's basically adding. I'm not a scientist. So.
Right.
You're putting me on the spot here. I'm sweating. So that's the gist of it. It rebuilds the bonds in the hair, so it doesn't break anymore and gets healthy.
So this is something that you sell as a product to clients that get their hair dyed blonde, and then they utilize it like after, or
Yep,
okay.
or before.
So it's like a shampoo, or
It's like a leave-in. Like you put it in, and it just stays in.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, speaking of leave-in, what are your thoughts on dry shampoo?
I don't love it. I actually kind of hate it.
All right.
One, it's a powdered.
I dated a girl that used it a lot, and I thought it was disgusting.
It's a powder substance that you're breathing in. I mean, I'm breathing in all kinds of powdered substances. They're terrible. There's a lot of heat for that recently, so it's not good for you in that regard.
Okay.
Two, it builds up on your scalp. So a lot of times,
I've seen that.
yes, you're putting it in. You're putting it in the scalp, and it just, it terrorizes your scalp. You're supposed to have oils on your scalp. Most people don't know. You're supposed to only wash your hair like 2 to 3 times a week. If you're washing it all the time, and it's going to keep getting oilier and oilier and oilier because your head thinks that it's dry. So it's overproducing sebum.
What is it?
Sebum.
Sebum.
It's oil. Yeah, like the oily gland. So if you wash your hair every day, you're overproducing sebum.
Wow.
You don't want to be doing that. You want your hair to, so it kind of gets conditioned that it's getting worse and worse. So these people are washing their hair like twice a day.
Oh, wow.
And this oil just keeps like your oil system is just reproducing
Yeah.
over and over again versus if
So you're saying every like 3 days?
Yeah, like every 2 to 3 days. You don't want to go so long that your scalp is, getting too much buildup on oil on there. You don't want to go too soon and then have it overproduce that sebum.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've gone through the evolution, then COVID hits, we get back.
Yeah.
Great for the business.
Wonderful.
Everything keeps. What's next for the Lock Loft?
I am actively looking always. I'm ready to branch out. The past couple of years have been kind of crazy, COVID and other things. So I feel like I'm really ready now to expand. We're completely full at the salon, and it seems to be staying that way. And I have more people wanting to work that I have to.
We should open a salon in Austin.
Let's do it.
You need an investor?
Yes, most definitely.
I mean,
let's open it.
why wouldn't we?
I'll be here half the month.
That's what. Half the year.
Half the year, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You can come. You could be like a snowbird.
Yes, definitely.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, Ina's gonna have to help me.
I'll help you. Yeah. I mean, we know what we're doing.
You're like Fidel Sassoon in there. You're like
you'll
selling
just listen.
products.
I know how to run a business. That's one thing I've been very successful at. I don't know how to do hair, but I know you do.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be amazing.
I would absolutely love
We turn
to
this place into a salon.
Definitely.
Right? So we want to open another salon.
Yeah.
We got to
Yeah, for
figure out
sure.
where.
Yes.
And outside of money, what's stopping you?
Time.
Well, that's
yeah.
that's a big commodity.
And there also, it's really, really hard right now to find the building. I would like to purchase a building potentially, and it's really hard to find a commercial space that is exactly what I need.
What do you need?
I need a parking lot. Mm-hmm. Most definitely. A lot of these places I look at don't have parking lots. Where's the parking lot?
Yeah, I understand that.
So that's a necessity.
That's our problem. We have that here at our space.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
a necessity when you
spots.
Yeah. So and if you don't have street parking, like a lot of the places I look at in the suburbs, they don't have street parking. Mm-hmm. Lakewood's great because everybody's
Street
used
parking.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I think that's probably maybe
Where's the ideal location as far as a city for you right now?
I'm kind of looking
Other than
everywhere.
Austin.
I would look in Tremont would be wonderful,
Okay.
Ohio City, Gordon Square,
All
Battery Park. And then, I've expanded because I've been looking for so long, Westlake, Avon, Rocky River. I would love to find a second location in Lakewood where I'm already at.
Okay.
So I could kind of time-wise.
Like
that
further
would
west?
It could be right next door.
Okay.
Just so that I was closer to both. I think that would be like a great time save.
Because the space you have right now, you don't own that, right?
I don't, but I have a lease on it for 5.5 more years. So
Is it still with Bonnie Bell?
Bonnie Bell?
Bonnie Bell used to own that building.
Oh, no.
You know Bonnie Bell?
Like the lip? Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Lip smackers. We go wild over lip smackers.
No, but I probably owned like a case of that when I was
So
a
where
12-year-old.
so I know this because I was in there. Because you're right next. Maybe I'm messing this up. Aren't you next door to?
The Breadsmith.
Yeah, but what was the Georgetown?
No, that's down the street.
Okay, that's
Yep.
where Bonnie Bell
Okay.
is. Okay, I'm getting my Lakewood.
Yeah. The woman who has owned this building, I think she's owned it for for years and years. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we got to. I mean, man, when we were looking for this place, I mean, commercial space so expensive, and then you got to get a business loan. You can't just get
Yes.
like a mortgage.
Yes.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yes. Yeah. So that's kind of the weight on that. I think I figured out like I really got to make sure that this is like exactly.
Have you ever approached her about buying it?
I haven't, and I want to say that I think that she wants her daughter to have it, but maybe she would relinquish it. Might be out of my price range because there's so many
It's in a cool
stores.
area.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those, like what I see, a lot of situations happen is like you do seller financing through that, and then instead of you renting, now you're kind of like paying toward a mortgage, but you know your payments are going to like quadruple because you now have the breadsmith and all this other
But
stuff.
I'd be making a rent off of that,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
So, yeah,
So it
absolutely worth it.
You know, but the rent roll like barely covers, and then you're counting on future appreciation of the building itself.
Okay.
Is really what the long-term value is. So just in the event that you ever do really get into this, like commercial real estate is very difficult to actually make like what I call like mailbox money.
Yeah.
You know, where you like are collecting rent and actually making money month to month. Usually what you're counting on is like if you could, even if you don't wash out, even if you're paying just maybe like a couple, in this instance, $1,000 a month, you're counting on the future appreciation of the building itself. So then when you cash out,
Yeah.
you're like, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
I made a lot of money.
Yeah, I like that.
You should call her.
Yeah.
See what she says.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Because it's just you, the breadsmith, and is there anybody else?
There's like 3 other stores downstairs, and then there's, I want to say, 20 apartments upstairs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, but the building is very, very old. Very, very old.
Well, let's talk about that.
That's a little bit of the hesitation.
Let's talk about that. You did a lot of work on that place.
Yes.
You and your husband.
Yeah.
In a building that you don't own.
Yes.
And so what was that like?
I mean, it's painful.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times, like, I have to look at stuff and say, you know, like all the items that I've purchased. All right, those come and go, and you know they get wear and tear anyways from stylists. That's part of the business.
Right.
But yeah, doing actual like fixing things in plumbing and anything like that, it's a little bit painful. But I try to be like really smart about purchases. I like to do like one project a year, like as something special for me. Like this year I tiled a wall.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a guy come in and tile like our entire back wall, which made me so happy. And it was worth every penny because, you know, look at it for the next 5 years. So, so I can justify certain things like that. And I look at, you know, maybe justifying it or making myself feel better. All these other people, you know, they put a lot of money into rental spaces too. So, I mean, that's kind of how it goes. Like, it's really hard. Like you were saying, it's really hard to purchase a building. So, with a salon, it's got to be visually. I've definitely
invested a lot of money into rentals that I, you know, it's what you do.
It is. It's
I mean,
a
it's why we bought this
evil.
place, because it's like I just can't keep doing it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I would like to on the next one, you know. But I have 5 years here, so it's, you know, I'm not rushing, kind of watching. Doesn't hurt to continue saving. Doesn't hurt to you know, be in a really great place. And I have a really good thing going. So I'm gonna be very calculated in how I make my next move. I'm not going to just jump, you know, even though at some point I have to, or else I'll never do it.
There it is.
Yeah.
So I would envision, I mean, you're really not taking on new clients, right?
Not really. Maybe like once a month I'll take somebody new. I'll actually say I always have my eye open for the right client. Somebody who seems like a good fit for me, who wants to do something with their hair that I really like to do.
Is a client that's a good fit kind of similar to a hairstylist that's a good fit? Like rule number 1, you have to get along with them?
Yes. So I do a virtual consultation, and again, it's like I'm not looking, I don't really care what their hair looks like.
Right.
I mean, I kind of have to see to make sure it's not a major project that I can't do. But most of it is seeing how I connect with that person, because if they become a long-term client, I might be with them for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to say no from the beginning, because it's not, and it might not, it could be me, it could be them. They're not looking for what I want to do. So I'd rather say no up front and not carry on with this long relationship.
Sure.
And us both hate where the end result is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, I mean, you're young, but how much longer do you think you'll do hair?
I think I probably have about 10 years left in me.
Okay.
Mostly because I could probably quit now, but I love it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's cool. Well, and that's kind of, I was going to say that. I'm sure even though if you're not doing the hair, you're still going to be, you know, running the business.
Yeah. I've cut way back, but I do. I mean, I love to see what the girls are doing. I love getting the laundry. I love sweeping. I mean, like, the whole thing, just like, I feel like an old school, like, barbershop. I'm like,
no, it's awesome.
I love talking to the people. Yeah. I really enjoy it.
Would you ever entertain an idea to, like, consult for other places that want to open?
Absolutely. I had a girl come in the other day. This is, like we were talking about at the beginning with real estate agents. It's like this mingling. She sent me a message. I had done her hair a long time ago, probably years ago, and she said, "Ashlin, I don't know how you feel about this. I haven't seen you in years, but I am going to open up a booth rental salon. Can I come in and just book an appointment with you. I'll pay to get my hair done. And I just want to talk to you and pick your brain for 2.5 hours about, how to open this place up. And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was, there's no competition there. She's a completely different concept. She's on the other side of town. It's like share this knowledge and
Sure.
and consult. And yeah, I would love to. I love doing education as well.
Well, that's kind of my point. I almost wonder if maybe that's the next step is like if it's not opening another salon, maybe it's like monetizing the experience that you already have and coming in as like a, joking aside, almost like you see these like Bravo shows where the guy comes in and like runs the bar or whatever. I forget.
So there was this. It's called like Tabitha Salon Takeover.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she's out there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't have to record it, but like, why not do that?
I would be like all nice, like, your shampoo bowls are really old. Your stylists are really mean.
Yeah, no, that's a great. I have a question. So like, how often do you think it is necessary to like update your furniture per se? Like you've mentioned shampoo bowls. I'm sure there's chairs.
I'm replacing stuff all of the time. I'm almost never not replacing something. Like I said, every year I'm doing like
but
a
not
major,
because it's broken, but because it's like it needs to be fresh.
Yeah,
right?
like even doing this tile wall, it's like, do I need this? No. Does it look so much cleaner and classier with it? Yes. Is that worth it to me? Yes. So like chairs, I replaced all of our chairs, maybe like a year or two ago. That was a huge purchase, because you're buying 12 chairs plus
I'm
two
sure
extra
they're very
ones
expensive.
in case, something happens to them. So you have a matching in case they don't make them anymore. Shampoo bowls, I've already replaced 2 or 3 times, I want to say.
Okay.
In 5 years. Washers and dryers, I have like a graveyard of them in our basement. Yeah, I mean, there is like...
You got to take them to the scrapyard.
I'm too cheap. I'm always like, we'll just fit them in the back of the basement.
No, I'm telling you. I used to, when I had my truck in Lakewood, I would drive around, and because I didn't drive it as my daily driver, I would throw washers and dryers in it until it got full.
Oh, my God.
And then I would take it to the scrapyard.
Well, you can come grab these washers and dryers. You can lug them up the stairs.
You get like $20 for them.
I'll leave them in the basement.
Yeah. Find it. I'm telling you, call Scrap Guy. You probably have like $250 worth of scrap there.
Do.
So yeah, maybe the consulting thing. I mean, and so we've covered furniture and everything along those lines. I mean, is there anything else you kind of want to get out that, because I'm going to do all the edits on this and I want to make it look super sexy and something that like, what's the ask from Ashlin?
For what? For
business. I mean, what are you looking for? Like if you could do like a mini commercial to, ask the public, like, is it stylists? Is it somebody who's looking to sell commercial space that, like what? You have a microphone literally in front of you.
I know. I don't even know what to say to that though. Like, what am I asking for?
What is going to help you get the next thing you need?
It's really just going to be, I think it's got to be a matter of time. I think it's just got to be, as far as like clients, we're full. As far as, stylists, we're full. So yes, my dream right now would be, I would love more space. I would love a bigger building. I would love to, continue this on. I'd love to continue educating. That's a huge passion of mine. I miss doing that and hosting and
I think we need to make that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, being in real estate myself, and I still have ties up in Cleveland. Like, I'm not even joking. I'm gonna make some calls. I'm gonna figure some things out. If you truly want to stay in Cleveland, I mean, let's find more space and seller financing, especially through commercial real estate. It's doable right now. Commercial real estate is not doing very well.
Yeah.
And so, you being young and having aspirations to run a salon for at least another decade, I can totally see like someone wanting to relinquish because they're going to be way older and they're going to want to, maybe get out from underneath the property.
Yeah.
I think that's totally doable.
Yeah.
Especially in the areas that you talked about. I think it would be tough in Rocky River. I think it'd be tough in Westlake, but like Tremont, Ohio City.
I just thought I want to keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get stagnant here.
Well, you know what happens when you stop moving.
I know. So yeah, continuing to move and just really like getting my back in the groove of things, and it feels really good to be in a place like where I'm finding that passion again and that forward momentum and really wanting to continue doing this. I think that's huge. I don't know many people who are in a business this long and still like really, really love it. I go to work every day and I'm happy.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I make people smile. I mean, it's people go to the dentist and they hate going to the dentist. People come to see me, they're calling off work. They're saying they're at doctor's appointment. I mean, people love to come in to see me. I love to hear their stories. I love to talk to them.
I'm jealous because I'm like I'm like a vampire. Me personally, I'm not here to take your money.
Yeah.
So. Well, I appreciate you doing this.
I love doing this. It was so much fun. Right? I loved it. Yes, cool? Absolutely.
Well, I'll make sure I get all the edits out, and I should have everything out by probably like Wednesday.
Nice.
I'll make sure I tag you on everything, and we'll get some clips together. I want to promote the Lock Loft, but at the same time, I mean,
what can we promote?
They're booked.
We'll
figure it out.
I need a bigger space.
There it is. That's the ask. You'll see.
I need a bigger space.
I'm going to make sure that we tag
Somebody
you
give me
all
a
of
building.
your. Yeah, it's careful what you wish for. It's coming. It's coming. All right, cool.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, you're welcome.